So why are you running for the Greens, Chilla?
Because the Greens are the party of the future, and a lot of people say that, but they're also the party of the present that can become the future, in the sense that the Greens are the only ones that understand the economy that we're going to have in the future, which will be based on cheap, clean renewables and linked in with sustaining the environment, at the same time as we make sure that we try and distribute the benefits of that economy to everyone. So it's a social justice and caring commitment, which is based on a new economy which, as I say, will sustain the environment at the same time. And I'm running particularly in Mandurah for two reasons, partly because I can see that there are things of value to be done in Mandurah to make it a city that's can realise its full potential. It's a beautiful place, but it's suffered enormous pressures with population growth and lack of resources being placed in to sustain that population growth. There's very unequal social incomes in Mandurah. There's been a population that's been sort of a retired population that's been fairly well off, but there's been a number of young single mums and other people struggling on social support coming into Mandurah, and that, you know, in a social inequality like that is really hard to deal with. It's almost easier if everybody's poor or everybody's rich, but when you're trying to deal with that inequality in income, it's very difficult. The other reason that I'm running for Mandurah is that I really want to see Giz Watson get her seat in the southwest. I think it would be a tragedy actually for Western Australian politics if she's no longer in the Legislative Council. She's so hardworking and so committed and so passionate. She'll look after every single person who comes into her office with a particular need. The office responds to, and she responds to. She works really hard to allow local communities to make sure that they preserve their amenities and deal with their local issues. And she's right across all the big issues, the social infrastructure, the environment, and all of those issues. So yeah, the Southwest is very lucky to have a shot to have her, and we've got to make sure that we take that opportunity.
What do you think are the main issues for Mandurah, Chilla?
I agree with a number of the issues that the City of Mandurah has identified as crucial issues. The population growth and its pressures on infrastructure is really significant, and one of the things that the City of Mandurah is very enthusiastic about getting, and we utterly support in the Greens, is a lot more social housing, a lot more affordable housing. That's a crucial way to allow people to feel secure in their accommodation. And we're also in the Greens, we want to put solar panels on the roofs of all of the affordable community housing that there is in Western Australia, thereby reducing electricity costs and greenhouse gas emissions. So it'll be a double benefit for Mandurah and for Western Australia if we get a lot more social housing. The population of Mandurah has doubled, almost doubled in the last 10-12 years. It's in the biggest growth corridor, I think, in Australia actually, that sector down Mandurah way. So it's made a huge impact on people, and they're really suffering. Another thing that's really important for Mandurah, and it's also part of the infrastructure, is an improved rail system. It must be so frustrating for Mandurah people to know that they've got this fabulous rail system virtually at their doorstep. Not quite, so that's one of the problems, is you've got to get to it by buses rather than by light rail. But if you don't get there on time in the morning, you can't get on the train, or you're crowded on these trains with other people. So it's almost worse in a way to have something held out to you that you can't use than to not have it at all. But what I'm really saying is it's a fabulous resource, and we've just got to maximise it with a lot more trains, some more train stations, more access to the Mandurah railway station that is there, partly through better parking facilities, but more innovatively and much less costly would be better bike paths and encouraging people to walk and that kind of thing as well. The multi-storey car parks, which are really the only solution now in these places, are very expensive to build, and that means that the money goes from other things that are really needed in Mandurah. So the Greens have just released a bike plan to encourage a lot more bike transport, which is healthy and fun as well, not in 40-degree heat, but on good days, and there's lots of good days in Mandurah. Cycling to the train station and cycling around is clearly a fabulous thing to be able to do if you're not endangering your lives and the lives of others by trying to mix it in with the car traffic or even the footpath traffic. It's also really important for Mandurah as a community that young people can feel that they have a future in that community rather than necessarily having to leave or work elsewhere. It's valuable for families to be able to be together and not have long commutes. So we need to look at improving the education opportunities for young people in Mandurah. Again, the City of Mandurah has suggested that there should be a second high school, but it's also the case that the campus down there, the tertiary campus, should be expanding its offerings to encourage more people to be able to stay in Mandurah and study in Mandurah. The other thing that, and again, the City of Mandurah is to be congratulated for this, they're looking at ways to increase employment opportunities by trying to encourage more co-location of government services that support Mandurah down in Mandurah itself, so that would increase the white collar employment there, and they're also encouraging the expansion or the development of the industrial estate down there, and again that will require government support, and we'll be pushing for these things that, as I say, allow young people to stay in Mandurah, to be to find it a place that they can get the rewards that they need in their own life, and hopefully make Mandurah a city of the future for them, as well as the people, the older people. The other thing that's really important, and probably everybody in Mandurah will be aware of this and care about this, is the water. Not just the ocean, but also where it comes in as the Peel Inlet. And at the moment there's a group of volunteers who are struggling to preserve that, and I mean there's a lot of volunteers and a lot of different groups who are doing that work, and it's just fabulous work. But we need something like the Swan River Trust. We need proper government support to help these volunteers. When you've got a lot of volunteers putting in lots of unpaid hours, you actually don't need very much government money to turn that into, you get a multiplier effect. You get a lot more from those people's volunteer hours often with just a little bit of money, as opposed to when they're struggling to raise small sums of money but spending a lot of hours and time and energy on that, when they could actually be spending their time and energy on doing the work that preserves the inlet. So we'll be pushing for that, and that's the kind of thing the Greens can make happen. We can't always change the economy overnight because we're not yet in government, but we can make those little things happen for communities if we get elected, if we have the balance of power, and we can then push in the upper house to bring about those changes. So I really am looking forward to a Mandurah for everyone for the future, and where people can go on enjoying the beautiful environment of Mandurah.